Hello everyone, my name is CRUZ and I'm very excited to be showing you my Capstone, which is an anti-imperialism curriculum based in Southeast Asia. So before I really get into what exactly my Capstone is, I kind of want to explain why I chose this topic and why specifically it was important to me. So if you look over here, firstly, I personally wanted to do something based in Southeast Asia, as I am Southeast Asian, specifically Filipino. So over here, I kind of analyzed how America has disproportionately impacted Southeast Asia as a whole. And then secondly, I did not receive an in-depth education about other economic systems minus capitalism and how they function at the start of my academic career. So essentially economic systems is important because historically Vietnam, which is one of the other countries I focus in Southeast Asia, had a socialist government, and I personally did not learn once again about the nuances about this until later into my academic career. And I think that's a very important context that underclassmen should be able to learn, so that is why I decided to add in also talking about other economic systems. And lastly, I chose to create a curriculum and facilitate a Socratic seminar because I do intend on pursuing an education career. So over here, I just kind of listed some people I've worked with. Mr. Aurora, who is my mentor, who helped me with deciding the specific topic that I wanted to do, helped me in terms of creating the lesson plans and helping me, decide the idea for what exactly my Socratic seminar is going to be. And I essentially chose him because he did encourage my intellectual curiosity in this topic ever since I was a sophomore, as I originally wrote a paper for him, and he was the one who did introduce me into wanting to talk about the Vietnam War and the Philippine-American War. Mr. Mark and Mr. O, who agreed to use my curriculum, and Miss Kane, who is my independent study capstone teacher, who did allocate a lot of time to help me for capstone. So these are some questions and goals I outlined, as I kind of have 3 questions and 3 goals, but the one that I really want to highlight is goal number 3, which is to learn effective ways to create curriculums and end projects that can be used by the history department for later years. So exactly why this was the most important to me was it kind of outlines how, one, I want this capstone to have a bigger impact than just the time frame that I did it, so potentially have it for later years and hopefully for even more years to come. And as well as I wanted to be able to learn how to create effective curriculums and end projects, as that is something I want to do in the future, and see how teachers can use it, as well as how students can interact with the curriculum that I created. So over here, I just kind of created a non-extensive source list, which I'm happy to explain just briefly about it. One, I read a book called What is Marxism About, which just goes over capitalism, socialism, and communism in a simple yet nuanced way, so I can kind of explain all the differences between 3 systems for underclassmen. I read a U.S. document called The Philippines, which shows a transition from Spaniard colonization to attempted American colonization, and kind of giving the reason as to why America wanted to, colonize the Philippines, which was specific to white supremacy as well as economic gain. The imperialist aggressors can never enslave the heroic Vietnamese people, which is a transcribed speech from Ho Chi Minh, as well as translated, who talks about how they have been constantly colonized by first the French and now attempting to be America. But despite that, the Vietnamese people have continued to stay strong despite the continuous economic exploitation. And the last source, which is Teaching Strategies for Socratic Seminars, which was just a website that kind of outlines the exact purpose of what exactly a Socratic seminar is, as well as ways to keep the conversation accessible as well as engaging for students. So then now I'm kind of going to go into detail of what exactly my share out is and how exactly that worked. So the plans I've had, my current plan right now is to have a 5-day curriculum that talks about socialism and American imperialism within the context of Southeast Asia, and have U.S. history students be able to engage in a Socratic seminar of is U.S. military ever justifiable, as well as kind of have this final share out, which I am anticipating having around the 3rd marking period rather than the 1st and 2nd marking period. So essentially, I chose to do the final share out later into the year in order to align with the other U.S. history curriculums of the teachers I asked if I can implement it into, just because I don't want to, invade into their classroom, and as well as have it be able to line up to the curriculum that they were able to make so. And I plan on coming in the first day, tell them about my capstone, why exactly it's important to me, what exactly it is, as well as moderate the Socratic seminar. So yeah, I kind of wanted to explain what my original plans are and how I also was able to, how I derived from that. So I essentially wanted to have students do a mini project, whether that be a slideshow, paper, speech, etc., on is imperialism ever justifiable, as that's kind of the broad topic of what exactly my capstone is about. And I also decided not to add a separate lesson on socialism. The only reason why that kind of changed was, one, I realized that the question could be extremely biased. Mr. Aurora kind of helped me realize that, as well as I feel it is insanely unfair as their upperclassmen to be looking at their work as well as grading it, and also underneath the time constraint of what exactly capstone is, that is definitely not feasible. And also I just thought to not add onto a separate lesson of socialism because I thought I would be able to combine it with the Vietnamese War, but I realized that this is needed context before I can really talk about what exactly the war is. So going into that, I'm going to kind of explain the process of me creating this capstone. So I talked with Mr. Aurora about how I should structure my lesson plans. So I talked about outlining some end goals, which is over here in this picture if you look over here, and some of the end goals that I came up with is like showing the net harms of imperialism, as well as some specific topics I should be able to talk about. So I consider talking about the modern fetishization of misogyny affected Asians, as well as military rapes, but I realized that wouldn't be able to completely fit into a 5-day time span. So I kind of worked with what topics I could talk about, and I landed on mainly talking about socialism, as well as the instrument of violence, as well as the Philippine and Vietnamese war, and then going into some essential questions. So what exactly do I want students to take away as they engage in this curriculum? So one of the questions I came up with was, how is violence a different instrument for each group when it came to the war? I also did research on the topic, pulling out important information. If you look over here, here's the source and then some quotes that I thought was the most important. Created lesson plans that I had Mr. Aurora and Miss Kane look over to ensure that it was structured well as accessible and made sense. And then I created a slideshow that introduces Marxism for classes, which once again is needed context about Vietnamese political affairs before I can really talk about the war. So yeah, kind of just going into the outcome, why I'm once again explaining why it's going to be a little bit later into the year, is because I just wanted to align with what exactly U.S. history teachers were doing, as well as make sure that they have enough allocated time to do so. And yeah, I did choose to help moderate the Socratic Summer as, one, that's something I'm interested in, and two, kind of have it as an introduction as to how I can be able to lead in a classroom or help in a classroom. So yeah, I'm just going to kind of do a reflection as to how I was able to learn and what I really took away from my capstone. So on a personal level, I did learn more about my own culture in terms of the histories, in terms of learning about the country's heroes, as well as the resilience of my country, and in general just the region that I am a part of. And it's also allowed me to create educational materials, which once again, as I kind of reiterated throughout this whole entire presentation, is something that will be very important to me when it comes to my future job. And the challenges I found was how to honestly make this project feasible underneath the time constraint. As you can see, it's a very highly ambitious capstone, if you will, and it is kind of hard to want to fit all these topics into only a small time frame, as well as create a whole entire curriculum from only the first and second quarter. So if I could redo the project, I would potentially just do mini lessons in the Socratic seminar. So one, I'd be able to spread it to more than just a couple of classes, and potentially all of the history classes if that was able to be feasible, and be able to make it more accessible in that way. But all in all, that is my capstone, and I appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Alright, my name is Gabrielle Douglas, and my topic was how racism and misogyny affects female patients of color. So for my topic choice, I came up with two original ideas. One was something to do with black women and women of color in healthcare, and then my other one was going to be the difference between AP, honors, and college courses. The final topic I ended up choosing, though, was around black women and women of color and how they're treated in healthcare. There was two things that inspired me. One was my sister, and the other was the pandemic. Over the past 2 years at home, I was able to write a paper on black women in pregnancy, and it really opened me up to the idea. So for the connection to my magnet theme is health. The classes I've taken to support this topic is Health Career Pathways 1 and 2, where 1 introduced me and 2 further explained. I also took Anatomy and Physiology honors, which introduced me to the topic. For my 21st century skill to use, I use accessing and analyzing information. So the people I worked with was, one, Miss Zajac. She was my mentor. She gave me sources and notes on how to improve. Miss Kane, she helped me go over my work and fix any little thing I missed. and another student, Asada Johnson. She let me practice with her and gave me notes on what to do. So the questions I had at the start and what do I hope to share with my project are, what is happening, why is this happening, how do we stop? I hope to share some examples, real world experiences, and some solutions. What I learned about on my topic, I learned about how deeply rooted this topic is, that this has been going on for a while and is constantly being talked about but never gaining real traction. I learned more about the healthcare system and how many people can say that they've been personally affected. These are my works cited. For my share out, I planned on sharing it to a group of my peers that care about the topic, so I wanted to do it around other health-related students. For the process, I showed the class my slides and had them give me feedback on how I presented, and for the outcome, we ended up talking about my slides and really having a conversation. So for my reflection, how can I take what I've learned and use it in the future? When I work in healthcare, I know that I need to be more conscious of things, and that really put me in perspective. And I will also continue to research this so I can help find better solutions. New questions I have are, why isn't training better? Has there been any laws put in place to change this? And will things ever change? For my final outcome, how effective was my project? I think my project was pretty effective. It opened up the conversation and brought awareness, and that's what I wanted to do. I found challenging finding information. There's not really too much out there, so things get repetitive very quickly. And if I could change or redo anything, I would change my questions. My initial questions, it's a lot of who, what, when, where, and they're kind of boring. So if I could redo it, I would narrow them down and make them less broad. That's it.
Okay, so my name is Nayeli Feliciano. My capstone project is about marketing and makeup. Obviously the topic choice is makeup and marketing, and somebody that inspired me to do this topic was definitely my mom, because she had her own business with makeup herself, and she also took me on to trips and stuff with for makeup classes, which taught me different techniques for it. The reason why I chose this topic is because I wanted to expand my knowledge on marketing itself and how it combines together with makeup. So the connection to magnet theme was business. Classes I have taken to support the topic is marketing, because it's the class that I'm taking right now and it really helped me out big time with it. People I worked with was Ms. Schrader. She was my marketing teacher. Ms. Kane as my capstone teacher, and my mother, who I already explained has a lot to do with why I like this topic. Questions I had at the start of my project was, what are the marketing strategies? What companies use marketing? And how does makeup and marketing come together? Something that I hope to learn and share with my project is I hope to learn the new strategies. I want to share more information about makeup and how it links with it. I want to learn ways to improve a makeup business as well. What I learned about my topic is I learned what I wanted to learn, which were the strategies, and how it's used in so many ways. I learned how they have a 4P strategies, which means promotion, product, place, and pricing, and also how we see marketing around us on a daily basis. So this is my works cited. And my share out plan was to share to one of Ms. Kane's business concepts class, which is usually filled with sophomores and juniors. And I just wanted to give them an overview of what Capstone was, and also let them see what marketing is as well and how it comes together with makeup. And I just did a peer deck, so it's just slides and I had them interact with the questions that I had on there. And then, like I said, I used Google Slides, and I made sure to put in basic information to see if they can answer them, and that's one of the slides that I had with the code and stuff. The outcome, the share out went very well. I feel like I reached my goal with helping them understand a bit more about Capstone, and it was challenging trying to speak out loud and stuff, but I definitely think I had the outcome that I wanted. How can I take what I learned and use it in the future? Definitely the strategies will stick with me, because I can use it to improve my own business if I ever decide to open one. And new questions that I have is, why is makeup the main one to use marketing, even though there's many other things, but like I always see it with makeup in particular. The final outcome of my project is, I really think it was effective because I was able to expand my knowledge overall. And something that I found challenging throughout my project was trying to find a way to combine both topics together and finding reliable sources for any questions. Also planning out what I wanted to do with my share out. If I can change or redo something about my project, it would be I would add more information about makeup itself, because I found myself focusing on one part of it. And then I want to add in more information on how makeup uses it besides the strategies. And yeah, that's all. Thank you.